I might get canceled for this, but welcome to 2023, where everybody on the internet is actually complete trash. This is the generation where women are looking for traditional old school men that show up with values, who fucking care about you, who open the door, who know how to fucking fix the things in their house. But what they're met with are men that are too scared of commitment and who are looking for just another hit on the internet.
That's all you're good for.
That's it, it's official. I can no longer afford my life. I am giving up officially. I am going to just sack it in and become a sugar baby for 80-year-old men with a boat because I've had enough, right? I've worked my entire life. I've worked my ass off. I've built my career. I've built several businesses. Can I afford my life? No, I can't. Every time I go to the shop, it's £25 for less than a carrier bag of shopping. And, you know, I'm having to make life choices about whether I can go and get a haircut or not, because it's that or I go out. Well, if I go out, I kind of need a haircut, but if I have a haircut, I can't afford to go out, so what's the point in getting my haircut? I've had enough. I've had enough. I've had enough of dating men that still live with their parents. You know, there is no middle ground anymore. I have just realised this. So it is a case of I am going to sign myself up for something along the lines of sugarbaby.com, because I am at that point in my life where I want to be looked after. I've done the looking after me for long enough. It's expensive and boring and very tiring, and I've had enough of it. I want basically somebody that is just going to pamper me from now on until they die, and then hopefully leave me a great big fat trust fund that I can then live off for the rest of my days somewhere on an island sipping a margarita, not giving a shit about what happens in the rest of the world.
That's not going to happen.
I know you think you're high value, and I believe you, but are you acting high value? Because if you're not, you're not. Imagine Chanel has a sale and it's 80% off worldwide in every store that sells Chanel, in Harrods, in Selfridges, everywhere. And everyone's walking around with Chanel bags. Would you value Chanel as much? Probably not. Chanel would rather burn their merchandise than have it in the hands of the masses, of people who would not appreciate them, not value them, like not take care of them, not consider them, it's beneath them. If you think you're high value, then you should be behaving like Chanel does. You should not be in the hands of everybody. Not everybody can access you. I don't just mean your body, I mean your time, your energy, texting you. Do you know what a privilege it is for a man or anyone to be in your company? If you don't, then you might not be as high value as you say you are.
You never were.
There's an epidemic of dusty men. I posted a video saying men should pay for the first date, and I'm still getting comments from these guys saying it should be 50-50. What happened to equality? If she doesn't put out, I'm not paying. I pay for so many first dates and I feel used. First of all, nothing is equal. When women stop paying thousands of dollars to look a certain way so y'all accept us, then maybe it will be equal. When we don't have to fear for our lives when we meet up with you, then it can be equal. When you guys can get pregnant so we don't have to sacrifice our bodies, okay, then maybe it's a little bit more equal. Until then, you can pay for a drink. What's the concept behind a guy paying? The concept is you're a man and you're supposed to pay. And if you can't afford to pay for a coffee on a first date, then sit your butt at home and figure out your priorities.
You're not on the list.
One thing that my ex always said that I never really understood, he always said he felt like he was walking on eggshells around me, and I didn't get it because I was like, I'm always telling you exactly what's bothering me and how. Like, for example, there was this girl that he followed on Instagram. They went to college together, apparently, but you know how many people go to Ohio State University? You don't need to follow all of them, right? But she didn't follow him back, so she had made a conscious decision to unfollow him at some point. He was like, well, she used to follow me. I'm like, okay, well, she doesn't anymore, so like, can you just unfollow her? Because she posted a lot of provocative pictures. They're not friends. They haven't spoken in years, right? He is well removed from graduating college. So I'm like, do you mind just unfollowing her? Because we'd already had so many fights about his social media usage. We'd only been together for maybe like 6 or 7 months at this point, and I was like, you know what, it would just make me feel a lot more comfortable if you would just unfollow her. And he was like, but we used to be friends, she used to follow me. And I'm like, okay, but she doesn't anymore. She made the decision to unfollow you, so why can't you just unfollow her? If it's gonna make me feel more confident and secure in our relationship, to just unfollow her. Like, you making a big deal about it is more of a deal than you just following her in the first place. Can you just unfollow her? And you can say that's insecure or whatever, but we had already had so many fights about this shit. Like, he should have just known already to unfollow her. So he finally did it begrudgingly, and then a couple months after that, he just deleted all of his social media entirely, right? Probably over a year later, I'm scrolling on LinkedIn, and I never used LinkedIn. I barely even knew my password, and he knew that I was never on LinkedIn, but I'm scrolling through it, right? And he liked one of her posts. I'm like, this is the girl that we literally argued over about you unfollowing on Instagram, and you made such a big deal about you didn't want to follow her because she was your friend, even though you hadn't spoken to her in 5+ years. You probably weren't actually friends, and she made the decision to defriend you first. So like, why? It shouldn't have been that big of a deal. And so you're going out of your way now, almost a year later, to like her post on LinkedIn. So I told him, I said, hey, I saw that you like this girl's post. Like, we already argued about her before. Like, why would you do this? I just don't understand. He's like, this is exactly what I mean. I feel like I'm always walking on eggshells. I can't do anything. You're just always going to get mad. I never know what you're going to get mad about. Why would you get mad about something like that? I'm like, okay, well, we already had the conversation about me wanting you to unfollow her on Instagram because I didn't want you to interact with her on any form of social media. Obviously, me not wanting you to interact with her on Instagram doesn't mean I guess I'll go follow her on Twitter. Like, what was that? That shouldn't be that big of a jump. And he was like, I'm just always walking on eggshells around you. I never know what's going to set you off. And I'm like, dude, I'm just telling you, why would I ask you to unfollow her on Instagram and then you turn around and just go like her LinkedIn post? Like, I know it's not that big of a deal, but also, why would you do that? Like, you obviously already know that I don't want you to interact with her, so why would you go out of your way to interact with her on just a different platform because you thought I was never going to see it? He's like, well, yeah, of course I thought you were never going to see it. Okay.
She's crazy.
So I turn 30 tomorrow, and I'm just not ready. I'm still single. I don't have a job. I live at home with my parents, and I just thought I'd be at a different stage in my life. But that's not the worst part. The worst part is all of the younger, hotter guys who will set their age limits on Hinge and Tinder to 29 because they don't want to be matching with 30-year-olds.
Shut up!
This 304 literally had a one-night stand and no strings attached hookups in a previous video I did. And now she wants a traditional man to open doors for her and wine and dine her. Typical modern 304s trying to get traditional treatment from men.
Take a hike.
Why would an 80-year-old rich guy with a yacht make her a sugar baby when he could find a 20-year-old instead? She can't even find a man who has his own house, but she thinks she can find a guy who has a mansion.
Poor, deluded females.
She thinks she's a high-value woman because she says she is. This 304 is average at best.
This specimen is a below average human being.
Guys, you are not obligated to spend money on a woman regardless of what reason she gives, especially for the reason you are a man and you're supposed to pay. I recommend that you split the bill on the first date, and if she doesn't want to see you again, you have avoided a woman who will leech off you. Only after a true connection and attraction has been established, then you can spend money on her if you want. In my personal opinion, the best women contribute in some way, and it shows you immediately they are not self-absorbed.
Yeah, you're right. She's probably not a gold digger.
This 304 is crazy. On some level, I understand he could have just unfollowed her on Instagram, but it seems like to me she's spying on his every single move, looking at all of his activity, and even on LinkedIn. I'm surprised if he's allowed to go to the toilet without her following him. Those crazy eyes will drive any man into an early grave.
She drives me crazy.
Real men of genius.